So bring back KI. The whole point is to get the attention of Microsoft, right? It seemed like nothing was happening with the game, and a lot of the devs were moving on to other stuff, and yada, yada, yada. And the whole point was that, no, dude, a lot of people like KI, and a lot of people would love to see this continue in some way. Does it mean it's going to be an update, or a new game, or, you know, whatever, or a graphical update, or something? I don't know. They did actually do a next-gen update for Killer Instinct Definitive Edition. By playing the game on the Series X, I think they did have some compatibility stuff that they worked on. I don't know if it was any changes to the game, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It's just to make, like, the Series X version look as good as the Xbox One X. And I think that's all it really does. It performs about the same as the Xbox One X. So that doesn't technically count. I think a lot of people were hoping that the game would get another graphical overhaul in the same way that Iron Galaxy did in the middle of Season 3 with the lighting visuals and stuff like that. Hoping that maybe there would be, you know, a few more characters and some new balance adjustments and stuff. But long story short, Iron Galaxy had a interview, even at the end of last year, with some of their executives talking about the games they'd be working on, and they took some questions from the audience. And they were asked if they would be willing to work on another Killer Instinct. And they said they loved working on Killer Instinct, and it was like a very valuable game to them, and they learned a lot. But right now, they have no plans of working on a KI. It's just not something on their chopping block at all. The executives of the company said that. The folks that made Killer Instinct, the last versions of KI, are not making the game, and the folks that originally made Killer Instinct, which is Double Helix, have mostly been spread out. And the majority of them are still at Amazon Games, but they're working on their own games, you know? They're absolutely doing their own thing. So IG has their own stuff they're working on. Double Helix is still working on their own stuff. And the problem with KI is that there is not a lot of US-based developers, right? There's just not a lot of fighting game devs outside of NetherRealm. At least bigger double to AAA-sized studios. Funny enough, chat, Rare has specifically said that they have very little interest in resurrecting old IPs. The whole point, chat, is that bring back KI was to build awareness that a lot of people like Killer Instinct. It's a franchise that Microsoft has in an era now where they're desperately competing with PlayStation for exclusives, for really big exclusives. That was one of the most highly regarded and best word-of-mouth exclusives they had on the previous generation that a lot of people did not like. Xbox One generation was not kind to Microsoft until they had, you know, Games Pass. KI came out of all that and still got 4 seasons and, you know, 29 characters. All things considered, it's kind of crazy that nothing would be happening with KI going forward on next-gen systems, even when I was hearing that, yeah, probably nothing's happening on KI, you know? Everyone's just doing their thing, and it was like, you know what, let's build some awareness. Let's show how much people love Killer Instinct. So that was the whole point of Bring Back KI. But there's a lot of questions. Who would work on it? Are those people even available? If you brought back KI, right? If you brought back KI, how would that game be? Is that going to be a new game? Like a Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5 to Street Fighter 6, potentially? Is it going to carry over almost nothing from the previous games? Are they going to reinvent the wheel every single time? There's a lot of questions there. If KI was to come back in some way, do they just update this version of the game? Would it be completely different? You know? Here's what I would do. Here's the direction. If there was a situation where Killer Instinct could move forward in some way, here's where I would take it. I think a lot of the core gameplay mechanics in Killer Instinct are extremely sound. This game is still very fun to play and is deeply engaging on a situation-by-situation basis. It's actually what makes KI such fun of a game. I think a lot of the core mechanics in this game that exist between the way breakers and counter breakers and enders and, you know, the way, like, its functionality works, that can't change. I think KI should still be a 1v1 fighting game. I think getting crazy with, like, teams and stuff like that, I love team games. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's almost getting to the point of which there's too much insane shit happening, and I'm a guy that loves insane shit, but Killer Instinct is already fucking insane, you know? I think you approach a Killer Instinct in the future, if KI is ever to come back, if they ever find a developer that's available to work on this shit, I think you approach it the same way they did with Smash Brothers. I personally think that the example of Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate is how a future Killer Instinct should be approached. And what did they do to Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate? They definitely reused a lot of stuff, but they updated a lot of stuff. A lot of characters from Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate got new moves. A lot of characters from Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate look completely different. If not some, play completely different. Not everybody, but some. To me, there's clearly some KI characters that could use a bit more polish, attention, and love, if not expansions on already existing systems, and make them even more interesting. Who would get changes? Well, that's like the question, right? I think if there was a future to Killer Instinct, I personally think every character should get touched up in some way, but clearly the number one thing that's going to be changing is that it would be on a different engine, right? It's not going to be on this old engine from 2010. It would be on new system, new hardware. So you can't just keep this, right? It can't just stay this. It's gonna have to look dramatically different. And the nice part is that even from Smash 4 to Smash Ultimate, without even a huge change of hardware, a pretty big change of hardware, but you know, nothing astronomical, Smash 4 looks like total shite compared to Smash Ultimate. Smash 4 looks bad compared to Smash Ultimate now. It's kind of funny. So it's clearly possible to give this game an overhaul visually, bring back a lot of stages and stuff, to keep everything that people love about Killer Instinct still there, but start expanding upon it, right? Bring in other characters that are actually involved in KI lore. Mira was great because Mira ended up being the sister of Maya. Shit like that. I think that's one of the best ways to approach it. You can't get rid of the gameplay of KI. You can't. You can make it better. You know? You can do new and crazy and interesting things. You could change the breaker system, maybe somehow try to de-incentivize people guest breaking. I don't know. Maybe do something different with the Ender system, provide unique animations, possibly for auto doubles instead of them being repeats of normals, right? Make Enders have completely different animations, if not do things that KI2 did, where give access to new Enders if you fulfill chores during the match. Maybe have some sort of crazy thing that allows you to do a double Ender if you use meter. You know, you can do Shadow Enders in this game. Theoretically, what if Shadow Enders don't just do a shadow move and cash out a lot of the damage? What if they animate a completely unique 10-hit sequence? Or something extravagant, right? For the sake of you doing a level 4 Shadow Ender, right? Things like that are the things that you can expand upon with still keeping things intact, you know? You can have flourishes, make sure everyone gets multiple finishers, right? A mini ultra, maybe, right? Make sure a lot of these elements are intact. Give the player more ways to finish off the opponent, because that's always very fun to do. There are things you absolutely can expand on with the existing roster and still have a lot of the gameplay mechanics of characters, a lot of their moves and stuff just carry over. Tekken fucking 7 has been using recovery animations, I swear to God, since Tekken 5. Reusing assets is not a problem in fighting games, because some of the most popular fighting games have reused a shit ton of stuff for many years. Some of the get-up animations from Tekken 7 are the same as Tekken 5. I swear to God. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. The idea is that updating things to look better is completely fine. Making them look better is why are you trying to fix what is not broken? There's a lot of stuff in KI that is broken, sure. There's a lot of stuff that can be learned from this game as far as how people play it, especially years later now, where people play it even differently. But all I'm saying is, if Killer Instinct was to continue in some way in the future, I don't think they should patch this version of the game. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't think they should add more characters to this version of the game, no. I think they should make a new KI with a new engine, Unreal or some shit, update the characters in the same way that Smash 4 did to Smash Ultimate. Keep everyone there and start including other Microsoft characters. Make it truly your Microsoft fucking all-star game. Joanna Dark is waiting. She's got a new game. We don't even know what she looks like yet, but she's got a new game. There's a lot of stuff that they could still expand upon. They could also go to other companies and see if characters are available, which is why I keep mentioning things like Darkstalkers, dude. Darkstalkers would fit brilliantly in KI. There's a good way to make this game continue. It's just that you need the expertise, right? I think it's really important going forward that the people that made KI great are still involved, and they know why people love KI's gameplay so much. They know why this game is as revered years later. Still, the last thing I would want is for a new developer to get KI and it plays like shit online. That's like one of the scariest things to me, is that You put it in the hands of another developer that might not be as versed in fighting games, and they don't know how to make rollback netcode work very well. That is an absolute possibility. Those are the kind of things you have to think about. Like, there's a lot to be held up to, which is why it's important as possible to get the people that love Killer Instinct back and involved, and especially the people that made the gameplay and understand this game of how to make the characters play the way they do. One of the weirdest things that could possibly happen to KI is that Microsoft moves forward with it, and they put it in the hands of some dev that is like, oh, well, clearly KI didn't have a huge budget before. We're gonna give this thing a budget, so we're gonna have to make it look good. Here's a very Microsoft decision. Who do we get to make another Killer Instinct? Gotta get developers with a huge graphical and, like, animation pedigree, right? Crytek. Let's get Crytek to make KI. It sounds like an absolute terrible decision. It sounds like an absolute fucking, like, no, don't do that. Can we not get Crytek to make the game? But that's exactly something that Microsoft would do. 100%. That is a Microsoft kind of decision. These are kind of... Fighting games are not just like any shooter. They're not just like any other genre or an RTS or a platformer or anything. Like, these games are really specifically designed and manufactured in a way by people that have to understand how they work and what it takes to make them work. And there was a ridiculous amount of talent. There was a ridiculous amount of multiple decades worth of video game combat talent that went into making Season 1 of KI a possibility, as well as Season 2 and beyond. Like, a shit ton. What I'm saying is that that's the worst. It's one of the worst case scenarios. At that point, you'd have a game that would look very good, but wouldn't play anything like a fighting game should. Yeah, exactly. Do you remember when fighting games used to be a graphical showcase? The only devs nowadays that are really making fighting games a graphical showcase are NetherRealm and Arc System Works. And really, if it comes down to, like, Arc System pulls off what they pull off literally through a shit ton of talent and art. Like, a ridiculous amount of experience, talent, and art. Mortal Kombat and NRS pull off their extremely AAA visuals. They pull off their visuals due to budget, right? And obviously experience, right? They have a lot of experience. They've made their games look incredibly better over the years. But those games have a fucking budget. I mean, I'm already assuming that's the problem. I don't think we even need to talk to Phil Spencer about this thing. I think it's just important that Bring Back KI keeps Killer Instinct in the radial perspective, right? It keeps Killer Instinct in the peripheral vision of Microsoft devs, or I'm sorry, of Microsoft, when it comes to approaching their lineup of games in the future. It needs to be somewhere in their field of vision that, man, we got Killer Instinct, but we don't know what to do with it, or we don't have a dev for it. Maybe we'll just either wait, or we should go out and start looking, or we should make a studio or something. And that's the idea. That they need to know that this game is still absolutely beloved, and if they are going to continue it, for the right reasons. Which is why so much of the Bring Back KI campaign is to focus on the things that make KI so good, right? Don't focus on, oh, we just want another game, you motherfuckers, right? That's what usually people do when it comes to sequel baiting and stuff like that. We just want another game, you assholes. Give us other game now. No. This is a fighting game. This is important. We don't just want another Killer Instinct. I have to echo to people that if you're going to use this hashtag and you want to tell Microsoft why you want another Killer Instinct and what made this so great, to include those reasons. We want another Killer Instinct because this aspect of KI was so good. Because the online was incredible. Because it's still one of the most diverse fighting games ever fucking made, you know? And that's the reason. I don't want a sequel made where it's suddenly like Killer Instinct is back, made by Crytek.